States bragging about his popularity in a foreign country. I'm 99% in Israel. Unmentioned is the fact that he's 35% in the United States. 35% support from Americans, the people he pledged to represent, to fight for, whose side he promised to take in every conflict, foreign and domestic. And yet there he is, bragging about how popular he is in a foreign country. The same country that got us into the war that is causing, to some extent, his unpopularity in this country. Speaking of cold-hearted globalist betrayals. Now you can say, well, that's just Trump searching for affirmation wherever he can. Unpopular at home, he retreats into the fantasy of his popularity in another country. Well, yes, true. But it's not a one-time exhibition of this. That president has spent the last year looking outward toward the approval of other nations. That president has spent the last year fighting for people who are not his voters, and in many cases not even Americans, and allowing his own country to languish. The last year has not made America great again. The last year has diminished American power at a rate some of us thought was unimaginable. We couldn't have foreseen, less than a year and a half ago, sitting in St. John's, the damage that this...
It's true. If you look at what has happened now with the US, I think most of their allies don't trust them anymore. And a lot of that trust was broken in the last year, right? Look at the EU allies, the North American allies. Pretty much everybody is wary right now of the US, because we know that all it takes is just one rogue person in there and then everything could go downhill. So is that really where you want to really put your bet on? So it's not only about the fact that everything is now so much more expensive, but just look at the relationships and the way he's changed the perceived moral superiority that America always prided itself on. I don't think anybody in their right senses right now can really play the moral superior card anymore after what we've seen.
Administration led by that president, for whom we campaigned and liked personally, could do to this country. How did this happen? Well, historians are going to have to figure that out. What was the change? Was Donald Trump a sleeper cell the entire time, working on behalf of Benjamin Netanyahu while pretending to be an America First patriot? Maybe. Hard to imagine that. This is someone who tends to externalize everything, who tends to say what he's thinking, probably doesn't have the self-control to be a long-term sleeper agent. And so if that's true, if Trump really did change completely, not just by 6 degrees, but by 180 degrees, what caused the change? What was the moment where Donald Trump decided, I really don't care?
So I'm going to have to push back on Tucker here just a little bit, right? Because I seem to remember that Trump never made it a secret his support for Israel. I believe even at one point, he even criticized Biden for being too soft and was saying that Israel should just go ahead and just destroy their enemies, pretty much. Check it out, actually. So Trump has never made it a secret that he loves Israel. So I think anybody that voted for him needed to have known that Israel was going to get full back-end from him, right? I think what happened here is that they were thinking he was just going to pull out of all the wars, pull out America's support from Ukraine, right? But now I think he's kind of done that right now, helping Russia even more, while starting a whole new thing. And I think these guys had to have seen this coming. I doubt that someone as smart as Tucker Carlson didn't know that Trump was going to support Israel. Tell me, literally he has a son-in-law that is literally a Jewish person, a Jewish son-in-law. So I don't know. You know what I mean? It's not a secret that he loves Israelis. Let's face facts here.
What the people who voted for me think. In fact, I don't think I like them very much. And what I really care about is what a foreign prime minister and some widowed casino magnate think of me. Who knows what caused that change? But the change is demonstrable. When did you first notice? I'll tell you when I first noticed it was last summer. And the spark wasn't the war with Iran. It was the Epstein files. Why the Epstein files? Well, out of nowhere, the president, who had effectively told his voters that he would declassify the Epstein files, along with the files pertaining to all kinds of controversial and much discussed events around which conspiracy theories have grown, notably the JFK assassination, but not just that, all of them. There's too much secrecy in the federal government. That's what the now president, said again and again. Why is there secrecy? Because secrecy hides corruption. You can't be corrupt in the open, of course. You need to be shielded by secrecy. And by the way, this is a president who was indicted and threatened with the rest of his life in prison for violating secrecy laws. Secrecy laws which were not written to protect American national security, of course not, and they haven't. They didn't prevent Jonathan Pollard from stealing our key military secrets and giving them to the Israeli government, which promptly gave them to the Soviets. That didn't help at all. No, those laws were written to prevent you, the people who pay for the federal government, from learning what the federal government is actually doing. Secrecy abets corruption. It's obvious. None of this can thrive in sunlight. It dies, famously. And so the pledge, the promise, the core promise behind America First and Drain the Swamp and every other slogan, all of which I loved, I'll just say it, and love to this day, the pledge behind all of those was to let people know what their own government is doing, both because they have a right to know and because once they do know, the corruption will stop. It's about corruption.
Right. Like, wasn't this even the same administration? Correct me, guys, if I'm wrong, but didn't they have isn't that what DOGE was, like Department of Government Efficiency? And didn't they have like a corruption unit as well? Anti-corruption unit as well? So this was supposed to be the presidency with the most transparency, right? Like open house press conferences. He literally had a press conference with Zelensky and he aired it out. Like everybody could see that while he humiliated Zelensky. We all saw that's and everybody lauded him. We're like, wow, like this is such a transparent president, right? He's a transparent guy. Like everybody sees how the spaghetti is made, they said. Well, where is that transparency now when it comes to like the Epstein files? I really think that like that's where they have our boy. I think that's where they have him for sure. But what do you guys think? Do you think that like that's what this whole thing is about? Because I don't know. I don't know anymore. I don't know what to make of this here. Like the 180, I pretty much have like whiplash. Whiplash with DGT. He's the king of whiplash.
It's about a justice system that does not treat every person as a citizen, much less a child of God, but treats them as members of castes. And members of some castes have to obey the law and members of other castes don't. There is not equal treatment under the law. Therefore, there is no justice. Therefore, the most basic promise of America, which is that you will be judged by what you do, is invalid. And so is democracy itself. How can you vote for things if you don't know what they are? Well, you can't. You have no control in a world where the most important facts are hidden from you. And that obvious observation, which spoke not just to Republicans, but to a lot of non-Republicans, famously, people who made up the Trump 2024 coalition, that promise was the promise. The government will work for you and you alone, and you will know that because you're going to know what the government is doing. Because, of course, foreign lobbying of your government or lobbying by big pharma or lobbying by anybody of your government is by definition corruption because it gives more weight to the preferences of a small group of people than to the majority. It's a betrayal. It's a corruption of democracy. It is corruption. And there is probably no figure in modern history who embodies corruption more perfectly than Jeffrey Epstein. Not because he was the worst person who ever lived. He wasn't. He was just an employee in a much larger structure. He wasn't making independent decisions. Come on now. But he got away with it. Jeffrey Epstein somehow won Powerball.
Yeah. So do you guys think that any of these people are actually acting by themselves? Or do you think that they're all like there's someone behind them just kind of moving the pieces around the chessboard? I really don't think that any of these people, I think these are just the front men. But I think the real people calling the shots, they're actually behind the scenes.